Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're looking at some really interesting stuff about
hmm
Dr. David Fetterman and this empowerment evaluation thing he talks about.
Yeah,
You sent over a bunch of materials on him,
I
like
did.
his website,
Mm-hmm.
a transcript from one of his YouTube
Yeah.
videos,
Yep.
and even like some pieces of his book.
hmm
So I feel like we have a lot to dig into here.
Definitely.
And you know what really caught my eye is
What's that?
this doesn't seem like just like another evaluation method.
Right.
This is like a whole different way of thinking about evaluation,
It is.
where you're really trying to like put the community in charge.
You got it.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting about Fetterman is he's not just like some ivory tower academic.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually like put these ideas into practice
Oh,
everywhere.
really?
Like you wouldn't believe it.
Tell me more.
We're talking Bugle.
Wow, the Kellogg.
The Kellogg Foundation.
Impressive.
He even like used his evaluation methods to like help fight tuberculosis in India.
No kidding.
So, like, this guy is clearly passionate about making a real difference in the world.
That's amazing. And he even won that top global impact anthropologist award, right?
He did.
That's not something you see every day.
Not at all.
So it's like a pretty big deal in the evaluation world.
Absolutely. And you can really see that, like, commitment to social justice in his work.
Yeah.
But, okay, you know enough about the man himself.
Oh, yeah.
Let's, like, actually dive into his ideas here.
Okay.
What exactly is empowerment evaluation?
Yeah. So, like, help me out here because it sounds pretty revolutionary to me.
Yeah.
Like putting the power of evaluation in the hands of the people being evaluated.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Imagine like you're part of a program,
Oh.
right? And instead of being judged by some outside evaluator,
Yeah.
you're actually like empowered to help shape its direction.
Wow.
That's what Fetterman's all about.
That's amazing.
In his own words, it's like a self-assessment approach focused on learning and growing and achieving the results that you want. It's not what somebody else thinks you should be doing,
I see.
but what you actually want to achieve.
So it's less about someone coming in and being like, you're doing this wrong,
Exactly.
and more about working together to figure out like
yeah,
what's
that.
working,
Uh-huh.
what needs to change.
Yeah.
We're all in this together kind of thing.
He has this great example of like working with satellite pharmacies.
Okay.
And instead of like him coming in with some rigid evaluation plan,
Yeah.
he empowered the pharmacists to design their own data collection methods.
Oh,
So they got to decide how they were going to be evaluated.
that's pretty cool.
And you know what? The evaluation became way more meaningful because it was based on their everyday realities.
That makes sense.
Not some abstract idea of what should be happening,
Yeah.
but what was actually happening on the ground.
Wow. Okay. I'm starting to get why people are so into this.
Yeah.
But how is this like actually different from like
Good question.
traditional evaluation?
Yeah.
Like, is it just about who's collecting the data?
Well, that's part of it,
Okay.
but it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Fetterman actually like challenges some of the fundamental assumptions we have about evaluation.
Really?
For example, he believes that inefficiency and like even bias
Hold on.
can actually be valuable.
Wait, are you saying he's advocating for inefficiency?
And I know.
That sounds a little counterintuitive.
It does, but here's what he means.
Okay.
Sometimes in our rush to be like super efficient, we miss crucial details or perspectives.
Okay, I see that.
And as for bias,
Yeah.
he's not talking about like prejudice or anything.
Okay.
He's saying that everyone like comes to the table with their own experiences
Yeah.
and insights.
Mm-hmm.
And those diverse viewpoints can be incredibly valuable if you harness them correctly.
So embracing those different perspectives
Mm.
can actually lead to like
Yeah,
better outcomes.
absolutely.
Okay. I'm starting to see the logic here.
Another key difference is this emphasis on letting go of control as an evaluator.
Okay.
So traditionally, evaluators come in
Uh-huh.
with their plan,
Right.
collect their data,
Yeah.
and then deliver their judgment.
Okay.
Fetterman flips the script entirely.
So instead of dictating how the evaluation should be done, he's more of like a guide
Exactly.
or facilitator.
Precisely.
He's empowering the participants to really take ownership of the process,
You got it.
which should lead to like much greater buy-in
Yep.
and hopefully more meaningful results.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the like philosophy behind this,
Yeah.
but how does this actually play out in the real world?
Well-
Can we see some examples of empowerment evaluation in action?
Absolutely.
Lay it on me.
One of the most compelling things about Fetterman is like how widely he's applied these principles.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
we're talking everything
Like what?
from helping eliminate tuberculosis in India
Wow.
to working with Feeding America
No kidding.
to address food insecurity.
That's incredible.
He's all over the place.
And wait,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but didn't he even use empowerment evaluation, like at a family reunion or something?
You're right.
Oh, wow.
And that's what's so cool about this approach.
Yeah.
It's not just for like big organizations or complex social issues.
Right.
It can be used to improve any situation where people are working together towards a common goal.
That's pretty amazing.
In the case of the family reunion,
Yeah.
they used it to decide on activities that everybody would enjoy.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's very versatile.
It really speaks to like the versatility of this approach.
Yeah.
It's not just about top-down, expert-driven evaluation.
Nope.
It's about giving people the tools to evaluate and improve their own situations.
Exactly.
No matter what the context.
You got it. That's powerful.
And this brings us to some of the key questions and challenges that often come up
Okay.
when people are first learning about empowerment evaluation. Like what?
People want to know if it can work in hierarchical organizations,
Okay.
how to deal with those conflicting perspectives, and whether it diminishes the role of the evaluator.
Yeah, those are all really important questions.
They are.
So how does empowerment evaluation address those concerns?
Yeah.
Can it really thrive in like a top-down environment?
That's where things get really interesting. Well, it definitely adds a layer of complexity,
I bet.
but it's not impossible.
Okay.
The key is, a willingness from those in power
Right.
to actually listen and relinquish some control.
So like instead of just imposing a solution from the top down,
Exactly.
they're actually like trying to tap into the collective wisdom of the group.
You got it.
Okay, I can see that.
So it's about recognizing that the people who are actually doing the work
Right.
often have like the best insights
Yeah.
into what's working and what's not.
For sure.
But what about those conflicting perspectives we talked about earlier?
Yeah, how do you like navigate that? When people have like fundamentally different views on things.
Remember how we were talking about embracing bias as a strength?
Yeah.
Well, that's where it becomes really crucial.
Okay.
Fetterman believes that those disagreements and those differing opinions
Right.
are actually valuable data points.
Interesting.
It's about finding ways to synthesize those perspectives,
Okay.
not silencing them.
So it's not about pretending those differences don't exist.
Exactly.
It's about actually like leveraging them
Yeah.
to get a more complete picture of the situation.
And come up with better solutions.
Okay. I could see how that would lead to like
Right.
more nuanced
Yeah.
and effective solutions.
Absolutely.
But hold on a second.
Yeah.
Doesn't this approach kind of make the role of the evaluator
Right.
less important?
Good question.
If everyone is empowered to evaluate themselves, what's left for the evaluator to do?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
But actually, the evaluator's role becomes even more critical.
Oh, really?
Think of it as a shift from judge
Okay.
to facilitator.
Okay.
So instead of delivering a verdict,
Yeah.
they're guiding the process,
Ah.
ensuring rigor, and helping the group make sense of the data they're collecting.
So they're still a vital part of the process.
Absolutely.
But their approach is like more collaborative
Exactly.
and empowering.
You got it.
It's about asking the right questions,
Mm-hmm.
creating a safe space for like open dialogue,
Yep.
and helping the group interpret their findings.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of Fetterman's work,
Right.
which is the importance he places on subjectivity.
Subjectivity.
Yeah.
Isn't evaluation supposed to be about being objective?
Right, that's the traditional view.
Yeah.
But Fetterman challenges that.
Interesting.
He argues that people's perceptions of reality are just as important as those objective facts, especially when you're dealing with like complex social issues.
Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
Can you give me a concrete example?
He tells this really powerful story
Okay.
from his time working at a VA psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
Many of the patients there believed they could fly
Really?
in a purely objective assessment.
Yeah.
You might dismiss that as delusional,
Right.
but Fetterman recognized that this subjective belief had very real consequences,
Like what?
particularly the risk of patients jumping out of windows.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
really stark illustration of how someone's subjective reality
Right.
can have like a profound impact
Yeah.
on their behavior.
Absolutely.
It makes you realize that sometimes
Mhm.
those personal experiences and beliefs
Right.
can be even more powerful than any objective data.
Absolutely.
And it underscores the importance of like truly listening to
Yeah.
and valuing those subjective experiences,
Mhm.
not just dismissing them as like
Right.
irrelevant or unscientific.
Exactly.
So it's not about throwing objectivity out the window.
No.
But recognizing that it doesn't always tell the whole story.
Uh-huh.
We need to consider both the objective data
Yeah.
and the lived experiences of the people involved
Precisely.
to get a complete picture.
And this raises a really fundamental question.
Okay.
Who gets to define success?
It's a good question.
Traditionally, it's been the experts, the funders.
The people empowered.
The people in power.
Right.
Empowerment evaluation flips that script
Okay.
and says, let's ask the people who are actually living this experience.
That's a pretty radical shift in perspective.
It is.
But I imagine it's not always easy to convince people
Right.
to buy into this approach.
Yeah.
I mean, changing like deeply ingrained beliefs about evaluation
Yeah.
can't be a walk in the park.
You're absolutely right.
So how do you overcome that resistance?
Well, Fetterman believes one of the biggest hurdles is actually our own socialization.
What do you mean?
We've been conditioned to think about evaluation in a very specific way.
Oh, okay.
Experts come in. Yeah.
Assess the situation
Right.
and deliver their judgment.
That's how it's always been done.
Exactly.
So it's about unlearning those old habits.
Yeah.
And embracing a new way of thinking about evaluation. One that's more collaborative and empowering.
Exactly.
And that goes for everyone involved,
It does.
from the evaluators and program staff
Mm-hmm.
to the community members and even the funders.
Yep.
It sounds like it requires a pretty significant
It does.
shift in mindset,
It does.
a willingness to let go of old assumptions
Yeah.
and embrace a more inclusive and participatory approach.
And that's where Fetterman's concept of mutual self-interest comes in.
Mutual self-interest.
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing,
Yeah.
but I need a little more clarification.
Okay.
What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, imagine like a community health program
Okay.
using empowerment evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
So the program staff gains valuable insights
Okay.
to improve their work.
Which leads to better outcomes for the community.
Right.
The community members feel empowered and heard,
Yeah.
which strengthens their connection to the program.
Okay.
And the funders see a greater impact from their investment
I see.
because the program is more effective and sustainable.
Ah, okay. So everyone wins.
Everyone wins.
I like that.
When you frame it like that,
Yeah.
it's clear how everyone involved has a stake in the success of the evaluation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about one group dictating terms to another.
Right.
It's about working together
Yeah.
to achieve a shared goal.
Exactly.
But I imagine there are still challenges
Of course.
in putting this into practice.
Yeah.
I mean, even if everyone buys into the concept,
Right.
making it work on the ground can't be easy.
You're right. It's not always smooth sailing.
So what are some of the bumps in the road?
One of the biggest challenges Fetterman talks about is making sure the evaluation is still like rigorous and honest,
Right.
even when you're empowering the people being evaluated.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
easy to just fall into the trap of like,
Totally.
oh, tell me all the good things.
Yeah, yeah.
But that doesn't actually help anyone
No, it doesn't.
in the long run.
So how do you strike that balance?
Yeah, that's a good question. How do you balance like
Okay.
empowering people
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that the evaluation is still providing valuables?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, sometimes critical insights.
It's about creating a culture of trust and transparency right from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
You need to make it clear that like everyone's voice matters,
Uh-huh.
but also that honesty is crucial
Yeah.
if you want this whole thing to work.
You got to be able to handle the truth,
Exactly.
even if it's not what you want to hear.
Fetterman talks a lot about creating safe spaces
Oh, yeah?
where people feel comfortable sharing their perspectives openly,
That's important.
even if those perspectives are critical of the program.
Not tough,
It is.
but necessary. It sounds like that facilitator role
Right.
that we were talking about before is really key here.
Absolutely.
The evaluator needs to be really skilled
Mm-hmm.
at like navigating those potentially
Mhm.
sensitive conversations
It's true.
and making sure everyone feels heard and respected,
Yeah.
even when like there are disagreements.
And remember, it's not just about collecting data.
Yeah.
It's about using that data to
Yeah.
actually drive meaningful change.
To take action.
Fetterman's a big believer in action planning
Okay.
and follow through.
So you can't just like identify areas for improvement.
Right.
You have to actually do something about it.
You got to empower people
Right.
to implement those changes.
So it's like it's continuous cycle
It is.
of assessment,
Mm-hmm.
reflection, action,
Yeah. And then you do it all over again.
and reassessment.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture of ongoing learning
That's cool.
and improvement.
Yeah, it's not just like a one-time thing.
A one and done.
You're constantly trying to get better.
And that's what's so exciting about empowerment evaluation.
I like that.
It's not just a one-time assessment.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process
Yeah.
that can lead to, like, lasting change.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We started with Dr. Fetterman's incredible background.
Right.
Talked about the core principles of empowerment evaluation, looked at some real-world applications,
Real-world examples.
and really dug into the importance of embracing both objective data and subjective experiences.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
We've seen how this approach can empower communities,
Yeah.
transform organizations, and ultimately lead to, like, more equitable and effective outcomes.
And hopefully more sustainable outcomes, too.
Yeah, too.
So it's inspiring to think about the potential of this approach to really make a difference in the world.
For sure.
So if you could apply empowerment evaluation to any issue in your own life or community,
what would it be?
what would it be?
And why?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole world of resources out there.
There is.
Books, articles, even a TED Talk by Dr. Fetterman himself.
Awesome.
If you're interested in exploring this further.
We've only scratched the surface of this topic.
True.
But hopefully this has sparked your curiosity and giving you some new tools to think about how evaluation can be used to create positive change.
Exactly.
Until next time, keep diving deep